that because of a powerful thought and emotion that I threw at you, now you get enslaved to that and your whole psyche is around that thought and emotion. Sadhguru said this and you're going crazy about that. And your entire brain will take shape in that way. It is no more mythology. Modern neurology is talking about, neurosciences are talking about it. So you will manifest that, good or bad. Now if I invest my life energies behind it, even if I don't tell you what is my thought, still I can change the neuroplasticity of who you are. If you sit here, you can have 10% turned inward, 90% out. If you do this, you will see whatever the hell you do, people go phenomenally impressed. If you are 90% in, 10% out, whatever you may do great things, but still nobody will be impressed. So, release the chicken's life and use that life form to do certain things for you. Rather than you taking on the chicken's body, you make that chicken do things controlled by a remote-controlled chicken, all right? Becoming eagle and becoming wolf these two forms are very common for them. That was not unheard of here, but it was looked down upon in this culture. There it is being looked up to because this is not spirituality, this is…
We were talking about life and death. I would like you to go back to the days when our sages, they will still be present in the body, but will move out into the cosmos and maybe after some travel come back. So, in evolution, have we moved forward or we moved backwards?
You only said it's already a round trip, so…
So it might have been a spiritual trip.
Doesn't matter, it's a round trip, you came to the same point.
Yes.
So, please, sir, please. So, if these things have gone around quite a bit, somebody is doing astral travel, this is called… this culture is called Gudu. Gudu vittu Gudu Pai. That means leave this body, go somewhere else and come back. Is such a thing possible or is it an evolutionary forward step? There is nothing evolutionary or even spiritual about it. It's more of occult nature. This is more practiced in African tribes, particularly the North American tribes, of leaving human body and taking on some other form. This is very prevalent. See, in certain occult sciences, there are certain things that one can do, but those things are seen as totally unnecessary in the spiritual realm. In the yogic realm, these are seen as totally unnecessary and a backward step. In terms of occult, these things are done. Recently, when we were trekking in Nepal, we came across a valley like this where some Nepali tribes are doing occult like this with animals. And these are very powerful processes, but these things were meaningful or useful before modern technology came because you could do certain things. There is a whole tradition of shamanism where it is… even today there's any amount of talk about how a Native American shaman becomes an eagle, becomes a fly, becomes a wolf, transforms himself into some other form and gets there and all this. So these are not just stories, it is very much a possibility that one can transform his form if he wishes to. So, about people taking on the forms that they wish according to the convenience is not a new thing or it's not an unheard of thing. Almost in every part of the world it is there. Particularly it is being publicized in a big way about the North American and South American shamans these days, about shamans becoming eagle and becoming wolf, these two forms are very common for them. That was not unheard of here, but it was looked down upon in this culture. There it is being looked up to because this is not spirituality, this is occult. Here, our occult scientists, I call them scientists because they are that kind, they don't bother to convert themselves into a bird or an animal because the risk, because when you take on the form of something else, this body has to be preserved and it can always be misused. So, there have been incidents where somebody left his body here in some safety and let's say became an eagle and flew for some time, but when the eagle came back, the body is gone. Now what does the eagle do? An eagle comes and sits here and says, I'm a yogi. Pathetic state, isn't it? Because you cannot fly, you think being an eagle is a big thing. Being an eagle is not a big thing. Though he flies high, he's only looking down all the time. It's better to sit here and look up rather than go up and look down. Really. So, here the occult scientists evolved other kinds of methods. That is, they themselves do not take on other forms, they pick other forms and make the forms work in a certain way. They will take a certain animal. Usually, one thing that is heavily used is a chicken. Oh, you think that's a waste, huh? You know, the chicken has to be young and vibrant chicken, uncooked. So, release the chicken's life and use that life form to do certain things for you. Rather than you taking on the chicken's body, you make that chicken do things controlled by a remote-controlled chicken, all right? A remote-controlled chicken is better than you becoming a chicken, isn't it? Because you becoming a chicken, there is a risk. You left your body and you went out as a chicken and tried to do something and you've become somebody's tandoori. So, they evolved better, more sophisticated methods to deal with the same things. So, yes, the occult sciences have many aspects to it. One Veda is dedicated towards this, Atharvana Veda is all about this. If we want to practice certain things, we could, but we don't allow such things here. Because what's the point? All that will happen is, you will get into more serious levels of ignorance. If you could change two bodies, this and that, you will get more entangled in the process of life than you are right now. Just the sheer power of it destroys you in so many ways. Occult was a very useful process when there was no modern technology. They used it as an access to the physical world in certain ways, but it involves so much of struggle to get there. But today, occult is not so meaningful anymore because almost everything that occult could do and more, modern technology is doing. You just have to send out a drone or turn on your television or just your phone screen will tell you everything that you want to know. So you want to know where the rain clouds are, so you had to do something. Now it's not necessary just the weather channel. I'm saying it's unnecessary effort. So, it's better to focus on you evolving beyond your animal nature rather than developing a relationship with animal nature. How to get rid of the animal within you, that's my work. not how to connect you with animals. Even in India, in the occult practices, in certain tantric practices, these things are there. Generally, for lack of vocabulary, in hardcore spiritual process, these things are shunned. These things are seen as circus that you do, that you don't try to display such things. But the very nature of life that you are right now is, the life energies are not only projecting inward, they're also projecting outward. Now, if you want to do certain thing, if, for example, you're a doctor doing constant surgeries, if you know how to make the proportion of this projection, largely I would say, right now, looking at this crowd, I would say, in this crowd, on an average, the outward projection is just about 10%, 90% it's inward projected, life energies. Because people are in a self-preservation mode. You will see when people fall in love, that is, they fell in love so badly that they're willing to die for it. You know, these days it's not like that. A young lady asked her lover recently, "Are you willing to die for me as Romeo died for Juliet?" The man said, "My love is of an undying sort." So, if you do something where your involvement is such that your involvement becomes bigger than your survival process, then the life energies naturally project outward. If you're not able to project your life energies outward, you will not do anything in the world which is significant in other people's experience. If you sit here, you can have 10% turned inward, 90% out. If you do this, you will see whatever the hell you do, people go phenomenally impressed. If you are 90% in, 10% out, whatever you may do great things, but still nobody will be impressed. So when you're doing your surgery, even if you can be 50% outwardly projected, it would make a big difference in the way you're doing the same thing. You may be trained, you may anyway do it right, but it'll make a huge difference. This is why always, like this business events that happen in the ashram, they're always asking me this, "How Sadhguru?" See, because in this, this is 37th year, in these 37 years, at any time in the world, at least anywhere between 250 to 300 inner engineering programs are going on any given day. In these 37 years, not a single program has been abandoned, not a single appointment I have been late to. I've never been late to a single event in these 37 years. And not just me, the whole organization functioning like this. People ask, how? The important thing is, you have to keep your instinct of self-preservation out. There is an instinct of self-preservation, there is a longing to expand. If you hold on to instincts of self-preservation, you build walls around yourself. And these walls of self-preservation are also the walls of self-imprisonment. But if your longing to expand becomes the prime factor of your life, you will see your life energies are more outward projected. Particularly when you're treating your patients, if your life energies are outward projected, you will find phenomenal results with everything that you do. Whatever skills you have, they will multiply. If it's inward projected, it's a drag. No wonder you will be looking forward to the weekend.
It's like the energies. Do I influence your energy and can I control the way you live?
See, we were just talking about this, she talked about mentalist. Your question is related to that in a way. Now, in my mind, I just create a thought that something should happen to you, something good or bad. Well, it may happen, it may not happen. If you are very receptive to me, it may. If I say something, if you take it very seriously, you may change things. But if I invest my emotion in my thought, I will make sure the thought gets across to you in a very big way. Then the chances are more that it may happen to you. It is not even that it is necessarily happening only because of my thought and emotion, it's just that my thought and emotion will create a whole bunch of thoughts in your mind, which is now modern science is called as neuroplasticity. That because of a powerful thought and emotion that I threw at you, now you get enslaved to that and your whole psyche is around that thought and emotion. Sadhguru said this, and you're going crazy about that. And your entire brain will take shape in that way. It is no more mythology. Modern neurology is talking about, neurosciences are talking about it. So you will manifest that, good or bad. Now if I invest my life energies behind it, even if I don't tell you what is my thought, still I can change the neuroplasticity of who you are. It's possible to do that. So when you talk about those boons and curses, they're talking about that kind of influence. Somebody who's invested a lot to generate this kind of energy within himself says something and that thing just happens to you because your whole mind gets wrapped around that little seed that is thrown into you. So this is why even even to teach a simple form of spiritual process, even to teach a very basic form of meditativeness, when you come to us, we will not do it unless you take a larger identity, that you become all-inclusive in some way. If you are not all-inclusive and you become powerful in your mind, you are a dangerous character. It's just like somebody who is not in some way responsible for the world has a nuclear bomb in his hand, he will inevitably cause damage, isn't it? So this is why meditations and spiritual processes, before they're being taught, a certain amount of making your identity much larger than your individual identity, so that you become all-inclusive before you become meditative, is always taken care of. In spite of that, there could be a Vishwamitra being born, what can we do? No, okay, that part of it. It doesn't matter how powerful I am and what I do, you can develop your own sense of integrity about the nature of who you are. If you have done enough work upon yourself, you will determine, nobody else can determine. Because if you are just on the level of your mind, I can take over. But if you have touched your deeper dimensions of intelligence, if you have become conscious in some way, no, you cannot be influenced. So that is why it's very important to be conscious. Conscious means that a dimension beyond your physiological and psychological structure has become a living reality for you. If this has happened to you, you can walk into hell, no problem. It will not influence you.